Every era has a champion. There's always a bigger fish, except when you get to the biggest, meanest, and hungriest of them. But eventually, all the great champions fall. From the earliest giant monsters to the current heavyweight champions, we're going to show you who has been the king of the oceans. And we're going to tell you why they got so big, how they got their massive meals, and why they lost their title to the next great super predator. These are the ocean's heavyweight champions. Hi, I'm Taylor Schuldeis, and you're watching Paleologic. The time of ocean monsters started a little over 5 million years ago. Long before dinosaurs, whales, or even forests, the Earth was a barren, rocky, plantless landscape. It had no polar ice and higher sea levels. The real action was underwater. For billions of years, tiny photosynthetic organisms had flooded the seas with oxygen, unlocking the potential for larger bodies, active predators, and more complex creatures. This was the Cambrian period, home to the legendary Cambrian explosion. The Cambrian explosion was an intense, rapid burst of marine evolution. Suddenly, strange new creatures and adaptations appeared everywhere. Even eyes were a brand new invention. The oceans filled up with weirdos and alien-looking creatures, and above them all swam one of the first true apex predators on Earth, and our first heavyweight champion, Anomalocaris. The name means abnormal shrimp, and it lived up to its name. It had huge, spiky arms to hook and grab prey. Its eyes had thousands of lenses, and its circular mouth was lined with jagged plates. It was a biblically accurate prawn. Anomalocaris was around 0.5 meter to 1 meter long, which might not sound terrifying by modern standards, but at the time, this thing was a giant among minnows. To Cambrian animals, this was an alien gunship. Soft boys like worms, early jellies, and soft-shelled arthropods lived in fear of being spotted by any of its thousands of lenses. Nothing dared hunt Anomalocaris. But if something did, by my calculations, it probably would have tasted something like a mix of shrimp, lobster, and cockroach. This guy was so weird that scientists doubted at first if its parts belonged to a single animal. Its spiked arms were thought to be that of a shrimp-like creature. Its circular mouth was mistaken for that of a fossilized jellyfish, and its main body was classified as a sea cucumber. It was sort of a Cambrian platypus, and even though it would have been immediately pulverized by later champions, it can always claim to have been the first. For the first time, evolution had crafted an active hunter built for speed, sharp vision, and active pursuit. It's the start of an animal kingdom as we know it, and it changed everything. Scientists think predators like Anomalocaris may have triggered an evolutionary arms race during the Cambrian explosion. Survival of the fittest, baby. This message is sponsored by Raycon. Father's Day is coming up, and if you're looking to buy a present, I've got the thing for you. These are Raycon's everyday clip earbuds, and I use them for everything. Whether I'm outside watching the wildlife, out for a jog, or just working at the office, the memory metal clip keeps them secured. Earbuds falling off while you're in the middle of something is the worst, but Raycon has completely eliminated this problem. I've worn mine for hours, and they're so lightweight, I often forget they're even there. Even if you're wearing piercings or glasses, the clip holds them in place without getting in the way. If you have an active dad, this is a great practical present that he'll actually use every day. Comfort is only one half of the equation. The other part is quality. And the fact that they're clipped on means that they still keep your ears open and you can still hear what's going on around you. Raycon has over 3 million customers because the sound quality is just as good as the way more expensive brands. And if you don't like them, they have a 30-day guarantee. If you want to get a pair as a gift or for yourself, go to buyraycon.com/animalogic clip and get 15% off. Buying them using our link also helps the channel continue bringing you weekly wildlife docs. So click on the link and let us know in the comments what you think about them. Thanks, Raycon! Before apex predators like Anomalocaris, many animals lived a chill, exposed life on the seafloor. But when the killers got fast and good at finding prey, the rest had to scramble to keep up. Suddenly, armor, speed, camouflage, and hiding mattered. Unfortunately for our wide-eyed friend, by the end of the Cambrian period, around 485 million years ago, the oceans were becoming unstable. Sea levels shifted, oxygen levels dropped, and entire marine ecosystems collapsed. This was one of Earth's earliest mass extinctions. Huge numbers of the bizarre creatures that dominated Cambrian seas simply vanished. One of them was Anomalocaris, who had ruled the seas from the Cambrian explosion to the Cambrian implosion. But extinction is as much a creator as it is a destroyer.
The next geological era was the Ordovician. It took just a few million years for the seas to be busy again. Early fish, trilobites, and primitive reef ecosystems flourished. The heavyweight champion title was vacant. Straight-shelled cephalopods like Cameroceras were already beginning to push size and shell length, evolving more efficient buoyancy control and a more active predatory lifestyle.
This was a winning strategy that helped them catch prey both at the sea bottom and in the water column. And it didn't take long for a new heavyweight champion to perfect that form. This was Cameroceras.
Picture a 2-meter squid sealed inside of a giant cone-shaped shell, a world away from the meter-long shrimp-like Anomalocaris who had ruled the oceans not long before. It lived in shallow tropical waters, it was fast, and used jet propulsion to move its massive bulk and ambush its prey. Its shell was divided into a series of gas-filled chambers that the creature could flood or empty, allowing it to control its depth like a biological submarine. It also had beaks that could crack the exoskeletons of sea scorpions, trilobites, and other ocean tough cookies.
I'm kind of in awe at how fast evolution arrived at giant, terrifying cephalopod. Earth had barely finished building its first reefs, and there was already something with both tentacles and a beak lurking in the shadows. About 20 million years after Cameroceras got its belt, another extinction event sent this champion to retirement.
Around 445 million years ago, the first of the big 5 mass global extinction events took place. This was the late Ordovician mass extinction. The planet got cold, and many of the shallow water habitats where Cameroceras' food lived and reproduced froze.
This ice age eventually wiped out much of their prey, and soon after, Cameroceras followed them into species heaven. By today's standards, these early predators ruled a world that was still surprisingly simple. Most species were invertebrates, but after the Ordovician, some vertebrates grew a spine and a jaw and challenged their noodly overlords. About 85% of marine species died during this extinction event. But when the dust settled, fish took over. Around 400 million years ago, Earth's oceans entered the age of fishes.
The Earth got warm again, and high sea levels flooded the continents, creating vast, warm, shallow water habitats. Intense tectonic activity and new ocean crust increased calcium and magnesium levels in the water. Reefs love these conditions and quickly spread across the shallow seas. These reefs were massive, and sprawling mounds of stone skeletons made of corals, sponges, and algae that glued everything together like cement.
Armored fish thrived in the nooks and crannies of these stony labyrinths and quickly diversified. Their armor protected them from each other and also from the early sharks, slender, restless hunters gliding through the shadows in search of prey. But they were still minnows compared to the third heavyweight champion in our story. Around 380 million years ago, sharks got dunked on by Dunkleosteus.
The dunk was a massive placoderm fish that could reach around 4 to 6 meters long and weigh about as much as a modern hippo. Instead of teeth, it had bony plates along its jaws. These blades would rub together every time it clamped its mouth shut, making them permanently self-sharpening and ready to slice through bone and armor in an instant. Unlike earlier champions that picked on the soft and squishy, Dunkleosteus leveled up and went after armored prey. As an ambush hunter, its jaws snapped open and shut so powerfully that they likely could have pulled prey into its mouth.
The dunk seemed unbeatable for a while, but eventually, the only real undefeated force on Earth, climate change, took them out. Yep, another mass extinction event.
This was the late Devonian mass extinction, a series of disasters that happened around 360 million years ago. It was a perfect storm. The climate shifted, reefs fell apart, and volcanic activity increased. Forests spread, building new nutrient-rich soils for the first time. But this triggered massive blooms of algae and cyanobacteria, which sucked the oxygen from the seas.
That spelled the end for Dunkleosteus and all other placoderms. Heavily armored reef hunters were replaced by faster, lighter predators that could survive in more unstable open water. Cartilaginous fish were one of the surviving lineages that wouldn't take long until they produced the strangest heavyweight champion in history.
Yep, this thing existed. Its name was Helicoprion and lived around 270 million years ago during the Permian period. It was an open water pursuit hunter about the size of an orca.
But let's stop beating around the bush. What makes this fish a world champion is its puzzling buzzsaw teeth. If you saw Helicoprion alive today, you'd swear it was a creature from a fever dream. Seriously, if you're multitasking, look up from your phone, take a look at this thing.
For decades, scientists had no idea where this tooth whorl even fit on the animal. Some thought it stuck out from the nose, but modern scans revealed the truth. The spiral was tucked inside its lower jaw. As old teeth grew, new ones rotated forward like a conveyor belt of blades. It specialized in slicing up slippery, soft-bodied prey like squid, slippery fish, and ammonoids. It was the first champ that would have totally lost a fight against a previous champ. Its teeth didn't have to crush armored fish because they were gone. So the dunk would have eaten it for breakfast.
The good news was, in its world, a lot of prey was soft. The bad news is that it lived during one of the worst times to be alive, possibly ever. During its reign, the Earth was headed towards the single worst mass extinction in its history, the Great Dying.
Volcanic eruptions triggered catastrophic climate change. Oceans, yet again, lost oxygen, and temperatures skyrocketed. This came to a violent end, and roughly 90% of marine species vanished.
The age of fishes nosedived. Nosedove? It ended. But if there's anything we've learned, extinction always leaves a vacuum, and there's always contenders waiting for their chance at the throne. The next champions wouldn't be fish or other oceanic royalty, but animals that evolved on land and took over the sea when they saw an opportunity. This was the beginning of the age of reptiles.
The year was 245 million BC. Nearly all land was fused into the supercontinent Pangaea and was surrounded by the vast global ocean Panthalassa and warm, shallow coastal seas. The oceans had barely recovered from total collapse, yet giant predators were already rapidly evolving to dominate the recovering world. Ichthyosaurs were some of the early contenders, being early reptilian adopters to the marine lifestyle, but the first reptilian heavyweight champion was Thalattoarchan. Its name literally means ruler of the seas. At around 8 meters long, this beast had giant bladed teeth and enormous jaws designed for hunting and slicing through the flesh of other marine reptiles.
Thalattoarchan appeared only a few million years after the Great Dying, but the reptiles were just getting started. Soon, some ichthyosaurs would grow to sizes rivaling modern whales, and the reign of Thalattoarchan would be gone in the blink of an eye.
Meet our new champion, Shonisaurus. They evolved from small land-dwelling diapsid reptiles that moved into the warm, empty sea after the Great Dying. Shonisaurus and other giant ichthyosaurs may have grown over 20 meters long, bigger than a school bus. Their fossils were so large that Nevada miners once used their vertebrae as dinner plates. Today, Shonisaurus is Nevada's state fossil, a reminder that the desert was once an ocean, ruled by reptilian giants.
Scientists once thought that this reptile was a gentle, toothless filter feeder, but recent fossil evidence reveals that they have large, sharp teeth and dined on fish, squid, and mollusks. They were probably aggressive hunters that excelled in deep waters. As prey animals started living deeper, Shonisaurus made these depths their hell.
Most speedy marine creatures use disproportionately larger front flippers to keep them from nosediving when propelling themselves with their tails. But Shonisaurus was still an early transitional ichthyosaur, so it retained 4 equally sized paddle-like limbs that it inherited from its terrestrial ancestors. This likely gave it excellent vertical control to hunt in deeper waters. It also had a deeper, bulkier body, resembling an oversized ocean sunfish or a modern whale, unlike the slender, dolphin-like silhouettes of many later ichthyosaurs. This, along with its excellent vision, also allowed them to thrive in the ocean's depths.
But as more top reptiles of this era were returning to the sea and prey became larger and more mobile, later giant ichthyosaurs evolved more streamlined bodies for speed and efficiency rather than brute force.
Later ichthyosaurs weren't fish or dolphins, even though they looked the part. They just convergently evolved to look weirdly similar, because fast swimming in open water tends to push animals towards the same sleek shape.
Nature just keeps reinventing the torpedo. Oh, can you hear that? Are you hearing voices telling you that another mass extinction was on its way to take out these speedy reptiles? Yep, this time the voices are right. 200-ish million years ago, the Triassic ended with another mass extinction, just like it began.
As Pangaea began slowly tearing itself apart, enormous volcanic eruptions poured lava across huge swaths of the planet. Tons of greenhouse gases were pumped into the atmosphere, and Earth got as hot as 2 rats wrestling in a wool sock, as my grandma used to say. The oceans became warmer and more acidic, and ecosystems began to decline. Giant marine reptiles weren't too happy about this. Over 80% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial life disappeared forever. But some lineages survived, and one of them gave us our next heavyweight champion. Meet Plesiosaurus funki, better known as Predator X. They were short-necked marine reptiles about 12 meters long with a skull of nearly 2 meters long. Predator X ambushed giant fish, sharks, and other marine reptiles like plesiosaurs.
Some people think that the mythical Loch Ness monster is inspired by the plesiosaur, and if anything would have hunted Nessie, it would have been Predator X. Basically, the oceans were now filled with giant reptiles being hunted by gianter reptiles.
With banana-sized teeth and an incredible bite force, Predator X looked like a fighter jet and may have been stronger than any modern predator. To put it in perspective, its bite was as powerful as having an adult elephant sit on your chest, and an estimated 3 times stronger than today's saltwater crocodile, the most powerful bite alive today. As if that wasn't enough, they had a few other tricks up their fins. They had specialized sensory pits on their snouts to help track prey, and a third parietal eye on the top of their skulls to help them navigate by sunlight in murky water.
The Jurassic and the early Cretaceous oceans were horrifying. Reptiles kept getting bigger on land and in water and in the sky. And by around 130 million years ago, pliosaurs were usurped of their throne by Mosasaurs, which gave us 2 massive co-champions.
Mosasaurus and Tylosaurus were enormous marine lizards related to Komodo dragons. They stretched sometimes over 14 meters long. They rose quickly in evolutionary terms, less than 20 million years from land-dwelling lizard ancestors to fully ocean-adapted hunters. Dinosaurs, by comparison, had already ruled the Earth for over 160 million years, slowly branching into hundreds of forms across land and sea.
The pliosaurs of the past ruled as ambush hunters, with brute force and explosive attacks. But the mosasaurs took a different approach. Open water had expanded, and prey spread out. Strength and speed became necessary skills to kill.
Built with long, powerful bodies, shark-like tails, and flexible skulls, they moved through open water as fast, highly efficient pursuit predators. They were so committed to the seas that they even gave birth to live young, never returning to land to lay eggs. They hunted fish, seabirds, ammonites, turtles, sharks, and even other mosasaurs. Just like modern snakes, Mosasaurus's jaws could unhinge to swallow massive prey whole. Fun fact, and buyer beware, Fake Mosasaurus jaws are one of the most widely available fossil forgeries.
Fossil theft aside, the scariest part to me is how modern Mosasaurus seem. Earlier predators feel alien, but Mosasaurus? You can almost imagine one surfacing behind your boat. They look basically just like whale sharks with a Komodo dragon's head. For tens of millions of years, they dominated the late Cretaceous oceans. Then, an asteroid changed everything. Yes, that asteroid.
66 million years ago, the Chicxulub asteroid's massive impact triggered wildfires, tsunamis, and a darkness that lasted for years. The ocean was no place for massive reptilian hunters. Mosasaurus disappeared alongside the dinosaurs, and the age of reptiles ended. But once again, empty oceans created opportunity. And this time, it was our turn to move in. All large land reptiles died out, but in the ashes, small mammals were better able to survive the devastated world. Many could burrow underground, eat almost anything, and survive on limited resources during the global collapse. Yes, our mammalian ancestors were short king survivors.
As ecosystems healed, mammals quickly diversified to fill the gaps left by dinosaurs. Some took to hunting in rivers and the warm, shallow coastal seas that stretched nearly pole to pole. Over millions of years, these shoreline prowlers transformed into fully aquatic whales, the next rulers of the ocean. Soon after, we got our first mammalian world champ. This was the terrifying Basilosaurus.
It lived about 40 million years ago and could grow nearly 18 meters long. Their skeletons were so long and slender, they almost look like snakes. Basilosaurus's eel-like body cruised ancient warm seas, hunting bony fish, sharks, and smaller whales. It still carried tiny, useless hind limbs, a leftover from its land-dwelling past.
Aww, it was like a little underwater T-Rex. Except it wasn't little, it was like really big. Whale evolution sounds fake, but it isn't. Their ancestors walked on land, but over time, more and more of them spent time in the shallows until their descendants became ocean giants. Now, we'd like to claim the title for most creative evolutionary path, but reptiles had already done that before, and also some had turned into birds, so we have to give it to them.
But whales kept evolving. Some specialized in filter feeding and became the largest animals in Earth's history, and others became even greater hunters. But sharks didn't just roll over and let mammals take over the oceans. Around 12 million years ago, the Earth's oceans had two colossal co-champions, Megalodon and Livyatan. Megalodon may have reached 15 to 20 meters long. This gigantic shark butchered whales with its serrated teeth bigger than your hand. On the mammal side, Livyatan, a giant predatory sperm whale, ruined its corner of the seas with pretty similar behaviors. Unlike modern sperm whales, which mainly hunt squid, Livyatan seems to have specialized in large prey, like other whales, dolphins, seals, and giant fish.
What makes this period so interesting is that these predators may have been competing for the same prey, large whales. And that means the Miocene oceans were rich enough to support several gigantic hunters at the same time, which is hard to imagine today. Picture this. You're an orca, minding your own business, trying to hunt a dolphin, and then you see a Livyatan. Turn around and you see the Meg. It was a dangerous time period.
The Miocene oceans were incredibly biologically rich, supporting huge populations of marine mammals. But once again, climate change is cutthroat. And as the world shifted to a cooler, more seasonal world, ice spread at the poles and once stable oceans grew more unpredictable. Eventually, both Livyatan and Megalodon disappeared.
After Megalodon and Leviathan disappeared, whales got bigger. The largest ones became filter feeders, but some whales continue to rule the seas to this day. Our current heavyweight champions are the toothed whales, and among them, sperm whales and orcas reign supreme.
Orcas set the standard for smarts and speed. They target fish, seals, sharks, and even whales. They hunt in coordinated family groups and communicate techniques culturally. Different populations of the same species have developed entirely different hunting strategies. Some create waves to wash seals off ice, and others specialize in shark liver extraction.
Orcas are unusual because for a lot of Earth's history, apex predators became dominant by growing larger and stronger. Orcas took a different path by weaponizing intelligence and learned behavior.
But sperm whales are the largest of the largest ocean rulers of today, reaching up to 20 meters long. But even they don't need to rely on the brute strength of predators of the past. They specialize in deep-sea technology. Using powerful echolocation, they can dive thousands of meters into complete darkness in search of giant squid, exploiting one of the largest and least explored habitats on Earth.
If one thing's consistent about the ocean, it's that it's always had dynasties, from alien-looking invertebrates to armored fish, to toothy reptiles, to finally the mammal age of intelligence, cooperation, and efficiency. For 500 million years, something has always been waiting at the top of the food chain. But mighty as they can be, they don't last forever. And the way older champions have gone is a reminder to take better care of our planet. So what should we talk about next? Please let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for new episodes every week. Thanks for watching. See ya.